After a successful connect call with a prospect, you close the call by scheduling the next step, an exploratory call. The exploratory call is one of the most important parts of an agency's sales process, and it'll be where you discover the goals, plans, and challenges of your prospect. It'll also be your first chance to do in-depth discovery. Here's Omi Cooper, CEO of Diaz & Cooper Advertising, a gold-tiered agency partner, explaining her agency's sales process and how she positions the exploratory meeting.
Our sales process there's a straightforward path and there's a little bit more convoluted path. So the straightforward would be that we eat our own dog food. So we definitely use the inbound methodology. We have a pillar post, we're blogging and all that stuff. So we do have some cold leads come in through either our website or a phone call. And I have a partner and he tends to follow up with those leads, qualifies them a little bit, and then I take over from there. And we lead a pretty straightforward kind of an exploratory call, and then we tend to meet with them for goals and planning. Now, most of our sales do come in from the more convoluted path, which is usually a referral. So those referral calls, they're not as cold. So instead of having to do a connect call and then an exploratory, what we do is we have an exploratory meeting, because a lot of them do tend to be local or within the Tri-County area, so nearby. So during that meeting, we kind of give them a little bit of a taste of our approach and our process, but we're really very focused on the client. So we want to understand a lot about their business, their goals, what they want to achieve. We're not even selling at that point. We're really just listening and trying to figure out what their problem might be and see if they're a good fit for us to solve it.
So Omi's agency has aligned their sales process very well to the inbound service framework. They identify quality leads, have a connect call, have an exploratory meeting, and then advise to close the sale if there's a good fit. What's interesting is her approach to referrals, which are typically warmer leads from the local area. In those instances, she actually combines the connect call and explore phase into what she calls an exploratory meeting. Now, even though she combines those two meetings, she's still using best practices when it comes to the explore phase. Remember, the exploratory phase is your opportunity to understand your prospect's goals and challenges, provide marketing, sales, and customer service tips, build rapport, and understand if your agency can help. And from Omi's description of Diaz & Cooper's approach to the exploratory meeting, it aligns very well to the recommended agenda. After opening, review the company information and internal organization of your prospect's business, understand if you can help, and then explain why your agency and why inbound. But why is it so important to focus on the prospect's company and their challenges? Omi discusses this point further.
I think it's really important to focus on the client, the prospect, for a variety of reasons. First of all, I myself don't like that method of like hard sell. I feel that's very kind of used car salesy. But the really most important reason is that I feel like we cannot connect the value that we bring if we're not understanding what their goals are and what their challenges and problems are. Meaning that if I'm just selling them, for example, just HubSpot, they may have even heard of HubSpot before, but they really at that time don't really understand how HubSpot can really help them to grow and solve those challenges that they have. So we weave that in through our sales process based on what are their challenges. Are there salespeople scattered all over the place and they don't have a good process? So maybe we go at it from a more of a CRM focus. Is it that they are short-staffed and don't have enough marketing people, and so they don't have time to really follow up or something like that? Then we focus more on the marketing automation portion of it. So if you don't have that connection to what their challenges and what their goals are, you can't really show your value as an agency.
Omi brings up a terrific point. By focusing on the client, gathering business information about their company and their goals, you can then truly understand if and how your agency can help. In her example, the information you uncover about a prospect can influence the rest of your sales process and how you position your agency. Do you lead with more of a sales and CRM focus or with marketing automation? So it's important to gather this information from your prospect, But how do you do it? How should you organize your line of questioning? Here's Omi again with a few tips.
So sometimes it's a little bit difficult to get the information that you want. I find that a lot of people have a challenge. You can't just walk into a cold prospect and be like, so how much money do you charge your clients, or what are your sales goals? So we do warm them up and ask, general questions about their business. We take a very consultative approach, and we ask them about their role and what they're responsible for and who's holding them accountable for whatever results that they need to achieve, because in the end of the day, the work that we do needs to make them look great. So we kind of couch it around that, and then we work our way into a little bit more business-minded questions, and always under the guise of, look, the whole point of this is that we want to help you reach your goals. So we ask them things like, is it a % growth that you want to grow your revenue? Is it a hard number? We also ask them, what is their average sale? A lot of times they don't really know and they're kind of guessing, but that's really important because we work backwards from the average sale and the lifetime value of a customer, and we work backwards from that to come up with that formula or that number of how many leads they need to bring in, and how many of those will actually turn into customers.
So to follow Omi's approach, warm them up with easy questions. How would you describe your role? Who is holding you accountable, and for what? And from there, you pivot to more business-oriented questions that uncover growth goals. More importantly, to Omi's point, you want to uncover those growth goals with specificity. Is it a hard number or a percentage increase? Here's Josh Curcio, COO and partner of Protocol 80, a gold-tiered agency out of Bradford, Pennsylvania, who follows a similar approach.
In the exploratory call, we start digging into the types of clients that they work with, or the types of customers that they're trying to bring in, and what that looks like. How many more of those clients are they trying to get? Why are they trying to get those specific types of clients? What types of things have they done in the past to acquire new customers, new leads, new prospects? And really it's all about understanding their business as opposed to trying to get them to understand what we do for them. So we want to ask as many of those questions as possible, and then we even start to identify what those revenue numbers might look like, what their close rates might look like, things like that, so we can start to kind of say, is this something that's feasible, and how did they get to the numbers that they're getting to? So really that exploratory call, it's again just learning as much about them and where they're trying to go, as opposed to trying to get them to understand inbound, because usually inbound is going to be a very new kind of strategy or thought process for them.
For both Omi and Josh, the most important things to keep in mind are what questions you ask and then how you frame these questions. When gathering business information, ask the right questions to uncover specifics. Maybe you start light in the questions you ask, but plan to go deeper around targets, customer revenue, and conversions. And then to avoid the feeling that your exploratory meeting is an interrogation, explain the reasoning why you're asking all these questions, and it's to turn your point of contact into a champion. We want to help you reach your goals. Now remember, for your agency, the exploratory call is also your opportunity to excite the prospect and to assess fit. Here's Josh again explaining how Protocol 80 approaches excitement.
I would say, as far as exciting the prospect goes, because we're allowing them to talk and talk about their business, and we then discuss how inbound can help grow, and it's not just like, we're coming and getting website traffic for you. It's really talking about the numbers and looking at the business bottom line, which a lot of kind of marketing agencies that they've worked with in the past don't do. That does get them excited because they know that there's somewhere that they need to go. They need to go from A to B. And usually everything that they've tried in the past, they've seen some growth, but it hasn't been as meaningful as they want. But when you start talking numbers and really start talking about, this is the impact on the actual business, I think that's the biggest thing that at least excites our customers, our prospects, because it's more than just talking marketing. We want to talk sales, we want to talk revenue, and we want to talk really how does this impact your business?
So Josh finds that giving prospects the opportunity to even talk about their business builds excitement. But things really take off when he begins pointing to inbound and how it can help the prospect grow. This is why in the exploratory call, it's so important to be able to explain why you and why inbound. But as Josh puts it, the power statements he uses stretches beyond marketing to sales, to revenue, and to however the client defines impact. For assessing fit, Rich Wood, the managing director of Six & Flow, a platinum-tiered agency from Manchester, finds that assigning homework is a critical step.
For us, the client homework is key because clients, as long as it's key for two reasons, because it gives us a lot of information that they are kind of consciously putting in. So they're telling us who their competitors are, they're telling us what their turnover is, they're telling us what their financial targets are, team size, what tools they've used, all of that kind of stuff. And that's gold dust because we can start to build a complete picture on it, and we can start to, before we've even had the discovery call, we can have an understanding of where we think we could and couldn't help. And that gives us a basis, or almost a script where we can actually start to ask particular questions. And the other thing that it does, and probably the more important thing, is it shows us that they're engaged in the process. They're not just kicking tires to kind of look around for pricing, things like that. They are genuinely engaged in the process because it's a 40-question form, and some of them are long answered fields, and it takes time and effort to fill it in. And if they've gone through that process, then we're willing to go through the next few processes as well.
So while the questionnaire his agency assigns out captures additional business information after the exploratory call, it plays an important role in qualifying the prospect further, determining their engagement with the agency, and to properly assess fit before moving forward. To close out, for those agencies just getting started in building their sales process, let's check back in with Omi, who leaves you with a pair of tips.
When we were new to HubSpot, we've been around now for 17 years, but when we were new to HubSpot, we really didn't yet grasp that whole idea of having a really robust sales process and being able to ask the kind of questions that are really going to lead to our success. So our first customer or two that we got onto HubSpot, it took us months to really get going. So I think my biggest tip would be don't neglect that exploratory call. Don't neglect to really understand your prospects' challenges, your prospect's business model, how they handle sales and what their sales process is. That's very important. And those numbers of how do they want to grow? Is it a revenue number? Is it a percent number? Do they need like 50 more sales this year? Do they need 150 more sales this year? Because if you understand that, you can then tailor your services to them to what's going to best serve their needs, and that's going to give you success.
So tip number 1, don't neglect the exploratory call. As you've heard before, it's seen as the most critical step of your sales process. So make sure you're asking the right questions. Here's Omi again with her final tip.
Another little tip is elongate the sales process a little bit. Like, take your time during the exploratory phase. Don't feel like you need to walk in on the first call and sign them onto something. When you play a little bit hard to get, when you kind of give them that sense of, we're also assessing if you're a good fit for us, it makes them kind of want you more. It makes them realize that you're confident, that you're not desperate to just sell them whatever, and that you're really looking out for their best interests and providing an actual solution and not just selling them something.
In summary, a successful exploratory call uncovers the goals, plans, and challenges of your prospect. And by using the right questions, you can run an in-depth discovery session that feels like a natural, helpful conversation. By properly explaining why your agency and why inbound, you can truly excite your prospect. And by assigning homework when appropriate, you can better assess fit. Succeed in this step, and you'll set your agency up to land the right clients and to grow your business.